Okay, hey everybody, Jeremy here. I've got Marla Moss, who is an expert on social media marketing and taking your practice online. So we're actually really lucky to have her, and we're going to talk today about HIPAA requirements. So at the time of this recording, we're smack in the beginning phases of the COVID pandemic, right, coming in, and everybody's frazzled. All the practitioners had to shut down, and some of them haven't, which fucking baffles me, blows my mind. That you're still breathing people's breath and everything else with, at-risk patients coming in and coming out of your office all day long. It's insane to me. So if that's you, wake up and get real to the fact that we have to get online now if we want to work, because for the moment during this pandemic we really don't want to be a biological vector for our patients. So one of the things, and a lot of you guys watching this, for a long time, I've been advocating to everybody to get online. Don't be addicted to your needles. Don't be addicted to your neighborhood even, and be able to find ways to leverage your gifts, your talents, your tools, your skill set, your interest to a wider audience. I've been pushing this for a long time, and now a lot of us are at the place where we're kind of forced to do it. So we're very lucky today to have Marla, who's going to talk to us about, one, covering your ass when you go to move online. And a lot of people are scrambling right now trying to do all this telehealth stuff. So I brought in an expert who also has been trying to tell people for a long time to do this. So without further ado, hello, Marla.
Hello, Jeremy. Thank you for that generous introduction.
Of course, you earned it.
Yeah. So do you just, I'll just kind of launch into recent news, is that the Office of Civil Rights and Health and Human Services have temporarily suspended HIPAA with regards to telehealth. So that means that for now, it's legal to just use regular Skype, regular Zoom, Facebook video chat, whatever, anything that's, not public facing, not like, TikTok or something, but anything that's, even sort of private, you can use that right now, and that's legal. I'm going to give you a couple reasons why I don't really just recommend going all out with the, lowest common denominator telehealth tools out there. And the first one is because protecting patient privacy is about more than the law. And, when we make a commitment to our patients and to offer holistic services, and we really want to present to them the best we can in terms of taking care of them and protecting their privacy. And even if HIPAA, even if you're not going to get stuck with a HIPAA violation for using Facebook video chat, Facebook is going to take their information and sell it and show them ads, and they're gonna, Zoom is gonna do that if you do the free version of Zoom, and advertisers are gonna have their information. So it's more than just about what's the law. So just to throw out a couple options for you, Zoom does offer a healthcare version of their software. It's $200 a month. So, for me, Zoom is kind of throw that out the window, because right now everybody is using Zoom. And so calls are getting dropped. It's crashing all the time. I really would stay away from Zoom if you can. And the $200 price tag, I don't think probably is going to look very attractive to any of you. I know a lot of you probably use Acuity scheduling. There's a really super easy integration for Acuity, which is GoToMeeting, and it's $12 a month. And that way you'll be able to have your patients just book their own appointments, and then they get the email with their appointment reminder with the link to the GoToMeeting meeting. So it's streamlined that way. There's a few other options like Secure Video, which is $25 to $50 a month, and Simple Practice, which is $70, and has a lot of other kind of tools wrapped up in its services that I recommend. If you're out shopping for telehealth software, what you need to do is, and if you're committed to patient privacy, which I really hope you are, because again, it's about so much more than the law. I suffered a HIPAA violation when I was a child, and it actually still traumatizes me to this day. So I just beg of you, be HIPAA compliant, even if they're not going to come after you and throw you in jail. But the first thing you need to do is make sure that the software is HIPAA compliant. This COVID-19 stuff isn't going to last forever, so you might as well set yourself up with a system that's going to work even after HIPAA goes back into full effect. And you can just ask them, is your software HIPAA compliant? That's the first step. If they say yes, you need to sign a business associate agreement with that software company. So that's the number 2 thing. And the business associate agreement is sometimes something they will let you provide, and sometimes, more often, it's something that they already have. And if you want to sign a BAA, then you're going to be signing theirs. So the third thing you need to do is, if they're HIPAA compliant, if they will sign a BAA with you, you need to make sure that the BAA actually binds the software company in liability with your practice. So this means that in the unfortunate case of a data breach, and you've got $4 million in HIPAA violations, that the software company is going to be sharing that with you. They're going to be helping to pay that with you. There's some, I don't have examples for telehealth, but in terms of non-compliant software, there's, for example, Constant Contact, which integrates with Unified Practice. And they're like, oh yeah, we're HIPAA compliant, blah, blah, blah. They're actually not. They're not. They say in their BAA that they don't transmit any protected health information over Constant Contact. And if you know HIPAA, you know that even as much as a name, phone number, or email address counts as protected health information. So they're just out there kind of using HIPAA as a marketing tool for themselves without actually offering you the necessary protection you need to use Constant Contact, whether it's in your marketing or in your communication with current patients. And while I'm on that topic, I am going to mention that a lot of people don't understand that you do need to be HIPAA compliant in your marketing. And people say, oh, well, we haven't treated them in our practice yet. But HIPAA applies to past, present, and future patients. So somebody who is, for example, let's say they opted into your landing page for your services. That's all happening in the context of providing future care for this person. Same as your website contact form. You need to have a website that's HIPAA compliant so that patients can communicate with you about their treatment, or even if it's just as much as, hey, when can I book an appointment? Got to be HIPAA compliant. So I may have taken a little detour there, but there's 3 things you need to look out for if you're kind of going into the deep weeds looking for your own telehealth software. And those rules apply to any software you use for your practice, where it's going to be in any kind of contact with your patient's protected health information.
So what does somebody do to get a HIPAA compliant website?
To get a HIPAA compliant website. So there's a few ways you can do it. You can have there are companies that offer secure hosting for websites. So you can take something like a WordPress website, or, something like that, a kind of generic built website, and have it on a secure server. My company offers that we offer website building and hosting for acupuncture and other holistic health practitioners. When you're shopping for a website host, the same rules apply. Are they HIPAA compliant, which involves actually quite a lot of security controls on their server. So they usually know if they are. And if they are HIPAA compliant, as they say, then are they going to sign a business associate agreement with you? Are they really going to tie their cart to your horse, or and how much stake are they willing to have in the game? And so it's funny, I've seen so many providers that you think would be HIPAA compliant, but they're not, like NCC, AOM's Chi Online websites. They're not HIPAA compliant. And I've got this email exchange with their developer where they say, oh, well, we are HIPAA compliant. Yeah, but they won't sign a business associate agreement with you. And the other one is, what is it? Gosh, I have my mind blank. It's AcuPerfect by Acupuncture Media Works. These companies that are specifically marketing themselves to acupuncturists, they don't actually even offer HIPAA compliance, which is really scary.
Interesting. So is HIPAA compliance on a website a bigger thing than just an SSL?
Yes, absolutely, because it involves who has access to the data that passes on the website. And even, for example, when our developer builds a website, if we're keeping them on for ongoing maintenance for the website, it involves as much as where they keep their cell phone, where they write notes down, and how they throw away their notes afterwards. Like, we have to go through all of that with people who work on our websites.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very thorough. Okay, so this might be a detractor kind of question. I don't want to to take you too far off of your path here, but some of this issue really just comes down to licensing. For example, right, it seems to me that the HIPAA only applies to health professionals. So any kind of Joe Schmo can say they're a health coach or a health consultant or a life coach that does health or whatever they want to say and have no licensing whatsoever. Oh, hang on, I got a technical thing. There we go. And have no licensing whatsoever. And, it seems like they're actually more free to behave in the marketplace. Like we have to hold ourselves to a different standard as a licensed professional.
It's true. Yeah. And, it's a lot of people will try to actually get around the HIPAA requirements by saying, oh, I'm just a coach, but then they're using their licensure as a marketing tool to bring on clients. So I really wouldn't do that. HIPAA can be really overwhelming and confusing, but if you can just find somebody who already knows it, don't try to learn everything about HIPAA, especially the tech stuff, find somebody to do it for you, really.
Yeah, because I wonder about working state to state. Most acupuncturists aren't licensed in every state, and that actually becomes kind of moot because you're not doing acupuncture anyway, and a lot of the herbal regulations are still in a gray area in different states. So if you're doing herbs, right, like for me, I'm licensed in Washington, and, I want to send herbs to somebody in Texas or Colorado or Illinois or wherever, and, I'm going to fall under the rules of that state, which is there's no herbal licensure. It becomes this washy gray area of actually working in the capacity as a downgrading yourself, right, to a consultant or a coach or whatever, and not prescribing anything, just recommending things, and moving kind of under the radar, not to dodge the HIPAA thing, but it's a very nuanced way to operate because of the way the state by state laws differ from each other, and then because also your scope of practice with any given credential is going to be different from state to state.
I might be wrong, but I actually think that it applies to where you're based. So, for example, I have a provider who is licensed in Mexico City, and he practices in Mexico City, but he does telehealth with clients all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's perfectly legal according to his Mexican medical license.
Okay, we're gonna have to look into that because I've seen doctors getting licensed in all states for this very reason, like MDs, so that they can consult with patients in various localities. So I'm gonna have to check this out in a little further detail.
Further research. Yeah.
This is emerging territory, really. So we'll get back to you guys on that and what the official answer is. But for now, button up your systems, and just like taxes, expect that somebody is going to come hunting for you, try to get you.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you don't want to take any risks because it's crazy. It's the HIPAA fines they can be $50,000 a day per violation for as long as it takes you to rectify something. You can lose your license or go to jail. And I think the bigger picture there is that Chinese medicine and its kind of tangents are already marginalized in our society and also legally. And so what impact does that kind of, a HIPAA violation in the alternative medicine space, what impact does that have on the industry as a whole, where people are already looking for reasons to discredit, what goes on in this community, the healing even.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's all reputation management. So this is really important. And there's a history of, without getting too far into this, but there's a history of the machine kind of persecuting outliers and making examples of them, especially when they start getting good at fixing problems that the machine is not wanting fixed. So I think we all know this, right? Okay, so let's get back to the tech stuff. So when you've got if you're looking at somebody's practice, depending on what they're doing, right, there's a lot of moving parts in these systems, all the way from marketing and basically, attracting a stranger, bringing them into your marketing, and then, converting them into a paid client or a patient or however you want to,
Yeah.
dictate those terms, and then actually fulfilling your care, right? And at each step, you've got different pieces of technology to plug in, right? So for marketing, is we could be looking at ads, posts, that kind of thing. But once somebody starts to engage, like you said, they hit your landing page and they're putting their information in. Now we're dealing with at least we're dealing with a host for the landing page, right?
Yep.
We're dealing with some kind of contact form or some kind of survey application, plugin, software, whatever, right? We're dealing with possibly a CRM that's going to be containing all that data. We're dealing with our email that we have linked to that everything's usually forwarded to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's just to get a lead.
Right.
And each one of those things has to be HIPAA secured with a BAA,
Correct.
right? And then once you have those leads and you contact them or however you do it, what else do we have? We've got payment processing, right?
You have to get them to show up. Yeah. You have to get them to show up, right? And
Yep.
then with your, email, if you're doing secure text follow-ups, phone calls, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the text bit.
Sure. Actually, if you don't mind, I'd like to start from the kind of beginning of the flow.
Go
if
ahead.
that works for you.
Yeah.
Okay, because it'll just help me organize mentally. So first thing in terms of marketing your practice, because I heard the word post, and please don't boost your posts. It's like please don't do that. It's just a huge waste of your money. It's the reason why we do Facebook advertising actually in the Facebook Ads Manager is because that's where we really are able to target your ideal patient and tap into your market and put the Facebook algorithm to use. If you're boosting posts, then I don't know anyone who's gotten a good return on their investment from boosting posts. And most of the time, they don't even really know if it is done. They're not able to measure the results.
Right.
Well, so
let's come back. I want you to get into that more when we do marketing.
Oh, okay. Okay, so we're just focus on the tech stuff right
Yeah,
now.
just the HIPAA tech. Yeah, we'll come back.
Okay.
It's all related, right? It's hard to separate all this stuff. But yeah, going through the flow of it and that initial contact all the way to like happy customer providing a testimonial.
Okay, awesome. So we'll start with Facebook, which could be Instagram, but we'll talk about Facebook because it's the most popular advertising platform right now. So in terms of a lot of times, okay, so I'm going to try not to talk too much about marketing, but Facebook lead pages, those are not HIPAA compliant. I'll just say that. And there's other reasons why you don't want to use them, but that I can go into later when we talk about marketing. But so you do need to have a secure landing page. And popular platforms like ClickFunnels are not HIPAA compliant at all. They're very much marketed as, oh, look, you can market your medical practice here, but don't do that. And you didn't sign a BAA with them, so it's your ass on the line if something goes wrong, basically. They do mine your data, and they will remarket stuff to your patients, and it sucks. So just don't do that. So you need to sign a business associate agreement with whoever's hosting your landing pages. There are some really pricey options out there that you can, for like, $400 a month and that. But anyway, that service is included in what my company does. We have a secure server for hosting the landing pages. And then some practitioners will, I'm sorry, you don't want me to go into marketing, but I have to talk about it all at once. I have to, and you can just circle back to anything that you want me to,
Yeah, that's fine.
On. But a lot of practitioners will try to run ads just to their website with no landing page, and that's also a waste of money because you're not actually directing people. You got people all excited in your ad, and then you send them to your website where they're like, okay, what do I do now? And it's like, and your website says something like, welcome to balance or whatever,
Right.
Right. And there's no further instructions they're like, okay, then the baby starts crying, the dog's barking, somebody just got home and whatever, they're going to forget about it. And then you're going to have to spend the money later to remarket to them and then probably lose them again. So you do need a landing page. A landing page also allows you, in addition to protecting your patient privacy and allowing you to present a strong call to action to your leads, it also allows you to track your results. So you can get the Facebook pixel And if you connect it to your landing page, then you'll know exactly how many people are going to your landing page from your ads. And Facebook is also going to tell you what they're doing on the landing page. So whether they clicked your button, entered their information, or whether you lost them or not. So once you've got people on your landing page, then they're sending their contact information is going to your secure email, right? And then what you're going to do is have a follow-up system. And your follow-up system is, I'm just going to throw out some tips here because I see a lot of people losing a lot of leads in the follow-up system, is you need to have a robust follow-up system with roughly 10 each of emails, phone calls, and texts if you're set up to do texting follow-ups. And a lot of people will just call, they'll say, oh, look, this person put their information in my landing page. I'm going to call and see if they want an appointment. And then they get a voicemail and they leave a voicemail and then that's it. And then they say, oh, well, that one didn't work out. No, you didn't try hard enough. You wasted your money. If you're not prepared to follow up with your leads like 10 times in multiple channels, then don't spend your money on ads. And you need to have systems, of course, set up to do some of this for you. For example, the emails and texts and even voicemail drops. So you don't even have to be calling all these people personally or having one of your staff members do it. So for my company, we use this kind of software that's like $500 for one time. It's kind of not very fun to use, so I'm not going to recommend that to anybody. But email follow-ups, it sort of depends on your EHR system, and if you have a patient management system like Solution Reach, it's going to make the email and text integrations a lot easier for you. But whatever you do, just make sure that they're HIPAA compliant and that they'll sign a BAA and that the BAA is any good.
All right. So I'm seeing some themes here. All right. So we've got that. Let's talk about secure email. So a lot of people use Gmail. I know I've talked to you about G Suite and all that. Can you explain what G Suite is and how that's different from your regular Google Mail, Google Drive? And then if you do get G Suite, can you put everything you have into that and it's now protected, or do you have to start over? How does all that work?
G Suite is great. I use it, and it's I think it's $6 or $12 a month, and it basically takes all of the Google products and makes them usable for your practice, almost all of the Google products. So you can use your Google Drive, you can store patient information in your Google Sheets, and it's all protected by G Suite. And it also gives you a custom, you get the email, the domain. So for example, your website, instead of being balancehealing@gmail.com, you're now steve@balancehealing.com. So G Suite is really great.
Okay, and that's something that if people want to switch to G Suite, they're going to need to do that through Google. And then how do they migrate everything over? Is there a tutorial or something? Or is it just once you have it, everything's automatically protected?
It's really simple. You do need to have a professional, I can do it, or you can find somebody on Upwork to do it who is certified in HIPAA, but you need to set the G Suite secure. It's not just, you don't just buy G Suite and then, go have a martini or something. It's like you have to set up the security controls to make it HIPAA compliant, but they sign a BAA with you. So it's really simple. I would just have someone techie take care of the techie stuff for you. And then you basically get a whole new Google account. So you can move, hopefully you don't already have any patient files in your insecure Google account, but you get a whole new, Google Drive, and you can just start putting all your stuff there.
Gotcha. All right, so we've got all the way to email. We did teleconferencing, right? We talked about Zoom and all that, and then let's see. What about if somebody's doing an online program where they have video content and things like that? Is there any issue with people being able to access that as long as it's hosted on your site? That shouldn't be an issue, right? If the site's already got HIPAA compliance.
Correct. You mean if, for example, your client logs into your website to access your member portal?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you're talking about? Yeah.
Now, what about chat groups? Like, what about things like Signal or WhatsApp or something like that? If you're instead of texting, like if you have international patients and you're talking to them on, these kinds of apps.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't do that unless they are, so if when you do G Suite, you can use Google Hangouts, Google G Suite Hangouts. Google Hangouts is not HIPAA compliant, but G Suite Hangouts, that's secure.
Mm-hmm.
You can
Okay.
use that. Yeah. Some of the patient management software actually comes with, let me check it actually comes with like a chat Hangouts. Let's see. Actually, I'm not sure which ones those are, but I can definitely do the research for anyone who contacts me and is interested in that.
Okay, yeah. And this is something too, I want to preface this because, like, you know, right now we're recording this, and I've seen a ton of times with technology, take a course or program and you start getting, the person teaching you is recommending these certain apps or certain services, like all this SaaS stuff or whatever. And, they'll walk you through with screen shares and show you the interface and here's how you set it up and all that. And by the time the actual program is even recorded and out, that shit's already changed. The interfaces don't look the same anymore. And, one of them got bought by somebody else and it's different. So just for anybody watching this, this is all current as of right now when we're recording this, right? March 23rd, right? 2020. If you're watching this a year from now or 2 years from now, some of the stuff might have changed, right? And even, 6 weeks from now, things might have changed. Like we started out saying currently the HIPAA is all entirely suspended, but that's not going to last forever. So just know, be a dynamic, critical thinker, be creative, and just don't get rigid and adhered to every little detail that, she's sharing with us here, because this stuff does move fast sometimes. So if you're watching this in the future, right, just know that some things may have changed.
Yeah, and it's always on you as a practitioner to do your due diligence in researching the software. So, yeah.
All right, good. Is there anything else you want to talk about in terms of the HIPAA compliance?
Um, Not for now. Something may come up later, but yeah, I think we're good.
See, I didn't know they were data mining even within your own account. That is some snaky stuff. And,
Mm-hmm.
at this point, you kind of expect it. And I kind of expect it everywhere, even with things that are HIPAA compliant. I just figure everything's permeable at some point. And it's just, if you take if you go back in time to where we had paper records, right, and a chart in a filing cabinet, and it's like, okay, you've got to lock that filing cabinet, and it's in my office, and I lock my office, and I go home for the night. Somebody can break in. Somebody can smash through the filing cabinet. Somebody can get those charts. Like
Right.
you take reasonable precautions, but people can still get at it if they want it. It's just that once you go digital, it's a whole different realm.
It is. It is. And, when in the case of a data breach, what matters to the Office of Civil Rights is that you've done your due diligence. So they want to make sure that you've done all the record keeping and that, you've did the documentation. That's what they want to look for. And that's also going to determine how hard you get hit in the case of a violation.
Mm-hmm.
So doing your best does count in this case.
Well, that's good. So the the different software companies and stuff, like the more of these players you involve in your funnel, I want to call it a funnel for lack of a better word, but
Yeah.
in your processes, then the more of them you got to keep track of, because if like Constant Contact gets hacked or whatever, then because you were using them, you're exposed. But also if you're using G Suite for your records and then they get hacked, you're exposed there. If you're using I don't know, ClickFunnels or whatever for your landing page, then you're exposed there. So it's really kind of a matter of trying to minimize your exposure. Have you found anything close to a one-stop shop that can just be, you can just kind of put all your eggs in one basket, so to speak, to try to minimize the risk across each different platform?
No, here's the thing about when the tools that offer more than one thing at a time, they mark it up, So I think that, the integrations there's not really that complicated, Solution Reach, for example, you get your your email, your texting. It's a whole patient relationship management system. Your phone, online scheduler, but yeah, no, right now that I don't know of any all-in-ones, and I think that since we're talking about the ways that data can be compromised, it's probably not wise to have all your eggs in one basket. I mean,
Yeah, interesting.
yeah, if one thing goes, then but always assume. I mean, if someone doesn't offer a business associate agreement, like ClickFunnels or it's a bad business associate agreement like Constant Contact, like just assume the worst
Mm-hmm.
because it's probably true what they're doing with your data and your patient's data.
Okay, great. Well, I
Yeah,
think that about does it. You got anything else you want to say on that?
I don't think so.
All right. So people can contact you if they want help with this, right?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Okay,
we
good.
do. We do HIPAA consultations. I can, work with people on getting their tech set up. Like I said before, we do the end-to-end digital marketing campaigns. So, and the websites. So, yeah, get in touch if that meets any of your needs.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much.